welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Mina.
Hi.
Musim is off this month. He had one of those like perfect storms. It's like, oh, someone showed up to the house, and then there's like 4 other things happening all at once. So taking a knee this month, but he'll be back next month. So since he's not here, it falls on you, Mina, to open the episode.
Oh boy. All right. This is unique. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Dragon Quest XI. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this. If you have never played a Dragon Quest game and you're like, where should I start? Dragon Quest XI is going to be one of the best things you can start with. You can't go wrong with it.
Yeah.
I haven't beaten it yet, but I'd already placed it like very close to my favorite Dragon Quest of all time.
Ooh.
So that's like I can't say enough good things about this game.
How far are you in? How many hours, I guess?
So, okay, here's what people have told me. Some people have said I am roughly halfway, and other people say, depending on how I view the game, I may only be like a third of the way. So it depends
I've heard there's a pretty good amount of post-game content.
Yeah, so a lot of them said that they feel that the post-game is, like, you need to do the post-game.
Yeah.
So, in their opinion, I'm only a third of the way.
Okay. That's not too bad. So you're probably, 40 hours in?
It's a good amount. Yeah. It's really, really good. And honestly, I mean, if I were to, like, play this again, I think I would appreciate so many little things even more than I already have, because the game has a lot of, like, lore and characters doing their own things, and it's just, like, there's a lot of little things happening that you kind of really appreciate. And, like, I know I may have, like, given it a slight when I first played it, saying that, oh, it's just another Dragon Quest game. I don't think I should have said that, because while I do say that it's a very much a Dragon Quest game, it's a very well-made Dragon Quest game. Like, This one's hitting all the right spots. I think like some people have only played maybe 8. Like, I've known, I think that's the other one that people played. The one that also had, like, Final Fantasy XII's, like, demo disc or something in it.
Yeah, that was the level 5 Dragon Quest game. That one was really good.
It was really good, but I think a lot of people have, like, only played that one, and so that's their interpretation of the entire series. And 11's really good. And I don't want to spoil anything, because the story is so good this time. Like, I shouldn't say that, because, like, a lot of them have good stories, but this one's really, really good, and I could easily spoil it, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, well, because I feel like a lot of Dragon Quest games, the story isn't necessarily ever the focus. Like, there is a story there, and it's usually good, but it's not the thing you're coming into the game for. That's usually, well, I want to play a Dragon Quest game, and it's going to be largely the same as the other Dragon Quest games in a positive way. It's not like, it's like a new shooter. Every year it's the exact same, and I'm sort of tired of it. It's almost like a warm blanket. It's like, yeah, Dragon Quest is back. All right.
Right. Because, like, in the sense of, like, look at Final Fantasy and how each Final Fantasy is like really its own thing. You can't really compare each Final Fantasy to each other. You can actually compare the Dragon Quests to each other, because there's a lot of the same building blocks, but none of them are really that bad, in my opinion. And I would highly recommend people try 11. It's
I have it. I just need to start it.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's a little daunting, though, because it's one of those really long Dragon Quest games, like 7, where it's like your first playthrough without the stuff on the end is going to be around 90 to 100 hours, and it'll all be good. It's just really long.
Yeah, and I really recommend the first sit down that you have for it. You have, like, a good amount of hours to sit down and just burn through it.
Yeah.
So, pushing that out of the way, the other game that I played that I really want to talk about is Yakuza 0.
Yes.
I started that. So, I think it needs to be said that, like, I go into the Yakuza 0 series with not understanding what the series was going to be, and not really, like, liking the sort of gameplay that I thought Yakuza 0 was going to be. So like there's a lot of elements.
What did you think the gameplay was going to be?
I thought it was okay. So like when you think of the word Yakuza, like that invokes a certain amount of imagery and a certain amount of things in your head on like what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I envisioned a way more like
a serious gangster
like
tale?
a more serious gangster tale. Yeah. Like something definitely way more like I can't even put it into words, like, because I don't want to use the word dramatic, but something a little more like grittier and a bit more
like grim almost, like underworld.
I envisioned something along those lines. And then the other thing I envisioned when I thought of like Yakuza 0, I was thinking that it was going to be a very much of a beat 'em up sort of thing. Like I get like these images of like back when I was a kid and playing a bunch of NES titles with beat 'em up titles and whatever. And And so like I don't know what I envisioned when I envisioned Yakuza 0, but it wasn't. It wasn't
this weird RPG fighting soap opera.
I don't know and I don't know if I would ever want to spoil this for somebody who would just like, because I think there are probably other people like me who are just like, they hear Yakuza as a really good game by a lot of people, and it's like, oh yeah, but the genre is probably not for me, and just like they kind of hand wave it, because that's what I kind of did. Like I heard it was good, and I'm like, I don't deny the fact that it was probably a really good game. It was just like, but it probably wouldn't be a me sort of game.
Gotcha.
And I was very wrong.
Happy to report. Yeah, just like me, I was like, I don't think this game's gonna be great. And I played it, and I was like, oh no, this is totally for me. Oh no. It's amazing. I don't know how the game got from point A to point B at the very beginning of the game, because like you get like this very like, I don't want to say serious, but it was a very like, I don't know what they were going for, a very artistic, serious conversation that the lips weren't moving, but like there was dialogue. Like
it was
almost
just,
like the comic book panels.
Yeah,
almost.
It was like comic booky. Like I was trying to find like the words to describe what I was looking at, but it was very like, it was like watching someone do a play or something, and it wasn't like, but it was like semi-serious. And
in that first hour, you have like 4 different types of cutscenes. You have like the very beginning where it's a CG, and you have Kiryu shoot someone, which is crazy, and then you have that one you're talking about. It's like, what is this game?
There's so many things going on in the first 30 minutes to hour of the beginning of the game. So like you're being yanked around, and it culminates into, because I still didn't quite know what I was getting myself into, right? Mm-hmm. And they make you walk around to like a bar, and like it's just like, so there's not a lot of like, and there was some like, punching and whatever, and I was like, okay, so this is what the game's about. It's got like what I thought it was gonna have, the beat 'em up stuff, and then you get to like the bar, and your buddy's just like, hey, we need to go do this, and I was just like, oh, we're gonna have like a cutscene conversation there, I'm guessing, and suddenly the game's just like, hey, you need to learn how to hit the tambourine and blah blah. I was like, what is?
I forgot they do karaoke like right at the beginning.
It's like first 30 minutes of the game, and I'm just like, what am? And like, it's so like, even the karaoke. At first, I was still like, so what is this? Just like a mini game? And I was just like, so you're doing the mini game, and it starts out with just the character singing, and I'm just like, just focusing really hard on the button prompts. I was like, I don't know if this is going to be important later on. I don't know if this is like trying to teach me like fighting combos, or what is. But I'm like, I'm just going to focus really hard on the buttons. So I'm like, I'm watching the buttons very carefully, and I'm just tapping along. And then like there is utter craziness breaking out in the background that is like pulling my attention away from like pressing the keys, and I'm just like, what is
like playing a guitar in like a hair metal band in the background. There's flames. It's incredible.
I was like, I need to watch a video of this once I'm done. Like, I need to go back and see this whole thing, because like it goes from just being like a guy who's kind of into the song into like this crazy like there's screaming fans, and like there's like his buddy is there also, like, you know, kicking it, and it's just like it's ridiculous. And I was just like, okay, is this what the game is about?
That was my same reaction at the moment, where it's like, okay, maybe this isn't the game I thought it was going to be. Like, exploring the Kamuro Ocho is fun, and punching is fun, and the story seems cool, but this was a little crazy, and I don't think I was expecting any fun in this game, and thankfully I was really wrong.
Right. I think the way I thought of it was, I imagined people would have fun with the game. I didn't realize the game was like, let's have fun together.
Right. And like poking fun at itself a little.
Yeah, it's so good. And then, like, even when you're doing something as serious as, like, one of the early things you have to do is you have to bust into this place. I don't think I'm spoiling anything really, honestly, because, like, I just, how do I put this in the words? Like, game's old enough. But anyways, you bust into this place, and there's this guy you have to keep fighting over
through, like, this whole dungeon.
And yes, exactly. And like the first time you get rid of him, it's just like, wow, that was I really visceral this
you, like,
guy.
Kick him out of a window. It's like, all right, well, that guy's dead. Whoops, he's back.
He just keeps coming back with a larger health bar each time, and you just, it's nuts. It's nuts. I don't even. Oh.
How far are you in now?
Oh, I stopped after it, because that closed out chapter 1, I believe, and so chapter 2, I met, like, some mystery dude, and I don't know exactly what's going on with that, but I finished chapter 1. I really can't wait to get back into playing it again, because this game seems like a lot of fun.
I feel like if you like it already at this point, I think you're in for the same sort of playthrough that I was, where I was like, this seems really great, and then you'll finish 1 or 2 more chapters, it's like, oh man, this keeps getting better, and it keeps getting, for like 40 hours, it keeps getting better and better and better, and it, as soon as I finished the game, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna play the other 6, aren't I? Oh no.
Oh man, it's really good. So I think if anybody out there has, like, just, you know, heard of the Yakuza 0 series and just thought to themselves, yeah, that sounds, you know, I imagine people like that, but I don't know if it's for me. I'd suggest giving it a shot. Give it a go. If you're gonna give any of the Yakuza games a go, give 0 a go.
Yeah, and there's actually this month on PlayStation Plus, Kiwami is one of the free games.
Yeah,
so the remake of the first one.
I got I think Ricky on Twitter pinged me that, said that I should go ahead and download that. So
yeah,
I definitely will.
I feel like a lot of people are going to start with Kiwami, which is fine. If you enjoy that one, please go back and play 0. To me, that's the best one I've played so far. I've played 0, and then the first one, and a little bit of the second, or a little bit of 6. And 6 is pretty good, but 0 is really something special. Especially once you meet the other playable character. Oh boy, that scene is really good.
I can't wait to play more Yakuza 0.
I'm so excited you're enjoying it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
So the other thing I've been playing, and this is a mobile game, is Dragalia Lost.
I played a little bit of this.
So I will say that I think for a lot of people who haven't ever played Grand Blue or haven't ever heard of Grand Blue, Dragalia Lost it's made by Cygames, who make Grand Blue in conjunction with Nintendo. How much Nintendo has in say of what goes on in this game, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
There's no Nintendo characters in it.
Right. I think they're really just publishing.
Yeah,
as far as I can tell.
It definitely doesn't. I don't see anything Nintendo-ish about it. I see a ton of Grand Blue in this game.
It's very much. I had the same thing where I started playing. I was like, all of this is Grand Blue, like from front to back. Someone must have just copied it, and I looked up and I was like, oh, it's Cygames. Okay, so they just took Grand Blue and built upon that formula.
Right. It's definitely I think it's fine the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
think that they've been balancing things and they've been reworking things. They've had several really nice patches and sort of like the game's just started. It's a little mobile conquering of the mobile games or whatever. It's just
I think it's
started.
like a month and a half old, something like that.
About. So it's already there have been a lot of people who have complained about different aspects of the game, and those things have been already like fixed. So it seems that they are very receptive into hearing things like I don't want to give too many examples away, but like for example, they had a feather system that was used so that way whenever you're co-oping, you had to spend feathers as energy kind of thing, and the feather system was pretty abysmal, and they've already kind of revamped it a little bit, and they seem to be just kind of observing and listening to what people have to say. They also made like there were force attacks in the game that you had to basically hold down on your screen for I don't know exactly how long you had to hold down on your screen,
like
but
too long.
Too long. Yeah. Now it's just like a fraction of that, and you're already in force.
Oh, so, nice. That's a big improvement.
Right. So a lot of things are just trying to make things feel better. I think a lot of people complained about how bows operated and just so they've been working at all of these things. It's not something that they've just kind of been like, oh, we'll get to it like in a couple months.
You'll get used to it.
Version 2 point whatever, we'll get to it, right? But no. They do seem to be listening to that. I don't know. I like, here's the thing. If I were to recommend this game to like a person who just wants to play a game for like free to play, I think a game more like Azur Lane or Girls Frontline or something like that is a way better free to play game. Dragalia Lost does at least offer quite a bit of good characters for free, but you definitely need so many different things in the gacha. You know, you need there's the gacha dragons, there's the worm prints, and the worm prints aren't as valuable, but the worm prints, and I don't know how to describe it. Let's just call it equipment.
It's like an additional piece of equipment, basically. It's weird.
Yeah, so the dragon and the worm print are both kind of pieces of equipment in a sense. The dragon does have value in the sense that it can really boost the stats, and when you go into a dragon form, you know, you can do way more damage potentially. So like the dragon is more valuable than the worm print, but it's just like all of these things are in the same pool as the units. So you have 3 different things in the pool, 3 different rainbows in the pool.
Right.
All fighting for dominance in there. And while the rates aren't the worst, the way that they have a pity timer kind of sucks to me. And this is just like, I'm not the person paying money, so I would not be the person who should be complaining about this, but I'm going to complain on behalf of the people who do spend money. Right. Because I think there's an argument to be said that I should care if people don't like spending their money in this game, because that harms the odds of someone continuing to play this game and supporting this game. So the way the pity timer in this game works is that like whenever you don't pull a rainbow, the pity rate after 10 of those pulls goes up, so you have a higher chance of pulling a rainbow. The second you pull a rainbow, it drops back down to 0 again, you know, back down to like whatever the flat rate is. It's like 4 or 5% or whatever it is. So the problem with that is it's any rainbow. It doesn't matter if you pulled a hero or if you pulled a dragon or if you pulled a worm print.
It's not like Brave Exvius where when I go spend a bunch of money and get, let's say, a guaranteed rainbow, I'm going to get a unit. This one is you can pull a 1 of 3 types. So if you're like, oh man, I really want this dragon on this banner. Oh, I pulled a rainbow. Great, it's a worm print. Fantastic.
Right. And that severely, like, you know, devalues the whole thing, and that's the reason why I don't like it, is that I feel like it kind of harms
Right.
other paid customers out there. For me, I'm just pulling whenever I can, and whatever I get is what I get. Oh, I'm happy about it. But for somebody who's like, let's say you see this on-banner unit and you're like, oh my God, I really want that. The odds of you getting that on-banner unit,
Yeah.
not very good.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
For me, on top of that is the same problem I have with Granblue, where the level up requirements for, let's say, even a piece of gear or a unit or a dragon are so astronomically high with just the number of raw materials you need that I feel like you're not necessarily punished for upgrading stuff, but you have to pick, all right, I like this one character with this one sword on or bow or whatever,
Right.
and I'm going to upgrade only this character and this equipment they have on it. You can't really, unless you start investing a ton of time, you can't really have a bunch of very high level builds. Like, here's my wind team, here's my water team. All of that, the upgrade materials needed for all that to get them that high are pretty high.
It's ridiculous to upgrade a 4-star character to basically the 5-star character.
Mm.
It costs so much to do that. You really don't want to do that unless you're very serious about that investment, because it'll probably take you like a month or and a half to get the same amount of materials to upgrade another 4-star to a 5-star character.
Right.
And the punishment in upgrading one of these characters is that the events are very elemental focused. Like right now, there's like a wind raid boss or whatever, and when you bring fire units to like the wind raid, it is really, really good. You start bringing other elements in, you'll notice that those characters are really not reaping the same amount of
Right.
benefit. And if you bring in a wrong element, like let's say you had invested in making a water element unit because the raid before this one was fire and water was the one that needed to go in there. If you invested in water really heavily, then for this raid, you're probably going to get,
You're going to get destroyed.
Because it's like they chew up the water element. So there's so much investment that you have to do into an element to make it good, and at the same time knowing that as soon as whatever content is going on right now, that unit is not going to be valuable for whatever event pops up probably in the next couple of months, because what are the odds that you're going to have another wind raid boss happen
Right.
after
Probably not
this
for
one
like
ends?
4 or 5 events.
Right. So you're really investing into that. And then the other thing is like light and dark element are not weak to any element at all, but they're strong against each other. And that's to say that light isn't harmed by going into like a dark event. Like they don't take more damage. They just simply do more damage.
Okay. That's a little bit different from Granblue, where light and dark were weak against each other.
Right, opposed. Yeah. It doesn't work that way in this one. So one could argue that like, well, if light and dark aren't harmed in anywhere on the circle, then they're obviously the better tiered units all around, because they're just not going to be harmed, nor do they actually benefit against the red, green, blue.
Or just sort of normal units.
You're right.
Right.
I don't know what to say. I think that either the investment in some of the things that you need to build in this game, like whether it be the weapons or whatever, it be a little more. I don't know how to balance it right, because there's so many people that are willing to go really, really extremely hard into the game, and for those people, there's no limit. You can't put a limiter on them. They'll just keep going and going and going.
Right.
But for somebody who just wants to casually approach the game, it's really, really hard for them to play, because I don't see how someone's going to casually get into Dragalia Lost.
It's hard to keep up without dedicating, because like you can keep up with something like Brave Exvius. You can focus on the units you want. There's a very clear upgrade path. They give you enough help pretty often to boost your units and boost your team. I feel like,
and you can borrow friends too that are really, really strong.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I've had friends that just cleared events for me.
Thankfully, yeah. But I feel like with Dragalia, it's almost a selling point that there's too much to do. There's everything can be upgraded and everything can be built, and you can customize your team however you want for the positive and the negative reasons. And I feel like if you're looking for a starter gacha game, Grand Blue and Dragalia, any of the side games titles, are not where you want to start. You want to start with like Final Fantasy Record Keeper or Brave Exvius, or one of these games that is less comprehensive in its upgrade paths.
Yeah, and I really do think that if you're interested in Dragalia Lost, it's definitely going to be like way more research needs to be done. Like something that I got frustrated with was I had this axe character, and I was going to make I think I was going to make a 4-star weapon for her, and then but I looked at the element and I found out that like her upgrade path into the light element axe build or whatever, it gives her really like not so good weapon ability. So it's kind of like a junk weapon if I decided to make that. So even when you're upgrading stuff, you kind of have to like really look and know what you're going for. So it's just like, I don't know what to say about it right now. Like
it's tough because those aren't negatives, but they're not really positives for us.
Right. I think a more casual player might not enjoy Dragalia Lost so much. I feel like it's a little bit too grindy, and it's definitely not. It's not the friendliest game out there.
Right.
So but I do think what's really nice is, like I said, clearly the developer is listening and making changes and like immediate and fast as they possibly can. So there's and I don't know if that's like Cygames that's pushing that, or if that's Nintendo saying, "Hey, we have our name on this, so
here's all the money."
Like people want this stuff done, and we gotta keep this going. So I don't know which it is, but yeah, if that does sound appealing to you, Dragalia Lost is pretty good. It's
it's a beautiful game. The music is great.
Pretty. Oh, the music's great. Yeah,
voice acting is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the writing is fun.
It's adorable. I enjoyed it. I like playing a lot of gacha games and not just one.
Well, you see where the road leads you. Like you're already doing a single character light axe build and finding out that's not good. Like where this road. Where this road takes you, and if you're getting frustrated at this like early exit on the freeway, then a year from now it's going to be really bad.
Well, and the other part is like it has such a heavy emphasis on doing multiplayer stuff.
Yeah.
And I should have brought that up immediately. It has a huge emphasis on multiplayer, and like unlike other gacha games where you can have like timed abilities and you press things, you actually have to move around on the screen, and you have to actively tap the screen. A lot of tapping. So if your fingers do not like tapping the screen, or you can't use a stylus, you're not going to enjoy this. Right. But it's very much a cooperative sort of like group sort of game.
Much more than Grand Blue was or is.
It's a lot, and because of that, I have a pretty well-rounded out team for this event. But the amount of people who just like look at my team numbers and are just like, I don't want to play with you, and they just the community can be toxic.
Right.
And it's just like, oh, come on, I can do the event, just let me in. But just.
I'm better than my numbers look, I swear.
I'm way better than these numbers. At least they changed the numbers around, because before the numbers were a little weird, and like, because they have like this might or whatever that they calculate, like how strong is your team to go into this event or whatever. But the might wasn't really very accurate.
Yeah, it was always off by a way I couldn't explain the math, but looking at the number, you're like, that's too low. Like, I'm stronger than that.
And if you upgraded your characters, like you level up your characters a lot, but you didn't like invest enough into your like weapon or whatever, the might calculation was really weird. So like I went up and like, you know, I leveled all of my characters up by like 30 levels, but my might barely moved at all. And I was like, come on now, I upgraded my...
It goes up by like 5, and you're like, that's not right.
So it's very strange. The might calculation is a little better now, but at the same time, people are just, you know, for whatever insane reason, they'll just be like, I don't want to play with you. And you need to play with people in order to get stuff in this game, so...
Yeah. I've been flirting with deleting it just because I'm playing enough other gacha games that this one, I'd rather play Grand Blue. There's something about that attracts me more than Dragalia. I don't really know what it is, but I keep hovering over the delete button.
I mean, I think Dragalia is just meant more for somebody who's not playing as many gacha games. Yeah. But I played a couple of other games, but I don't have much to say about them, so we're just going to go right on to you, Boston.
Okay. Did you play more Steins Gate?
I haven't. It's the one that I'm going to record tomorrow.
Okay. Just curious how your travels through Steins Gate were going lately.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, because Steins Gate Elite is coming out, I think, early next year.
What is that?
Okay, so it's... You know the Steins Gate anime that came out, which is something people should watch after you play the game.
I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, good, because it is like most anime of games or visual novels. It's very truncated. You know, it takes a 60-hour experience and puts it in a 20. So it's not going to have the depth, you know, naturally. What Steins Gate Elite is they've taken Steins Gate and all of the backgrounds. They've replaced that with shots and animation from the anime. And then they've added new scenes that were in the game that weren't in the show. So it's still Steins Gate, but for me, I love the art style in Steins Gate because it's so unique that removing that and putting anime in, which looks good, isn't really what I'm looking for. But I want to support... I'm torn because I want to support the company and have them bring out more of that studio's games here. Because, like, Steins Gate Dash, there's a bunch of new ones coming out in Japan soon. And I'd like them to come over here as well. But I don't want to pay for Steins Gate again. That is, like, a lesser version. So, I don't know where I was going with it. Where I was going with this is, I keep thinking, man, I could play Steins Gate again, but I shouldn't because it's too long, and I have other things to play, like Dragon Quest XI. Yeah, but the only only RPG I played this month really is Destiny 2, because I don't want to belabor it because I'm in the end game now, so a lot of it is super inside baseball stuff, where it's like, I'm in the Dreaming City, and I'm finding all the hidden chests every week that only show up when you take this thing, and you do platforming challenges. You know, I'm not chasing these really big global goals anymore.
Right.
Like last night, I got the new hand cannon Malfeasance, which is the Gambit one. It took me like 3 days of very consistent playing to get. But that's going to be like a percentage of the people are going to get. Not saying that I'm great, that's why I got it, but I'm dedicated enough to bang my head upon on the wall to get that stuff.
Right.
But I think the interesting thing for me for Destiny 2 is that Bungie this time has a longer-term vision for Forsaken as a piece of DLC, so that every 3 weeks, basically in the Dreaming City, the second location you unlock in the DLC, every 3 weeks, the cycle repeats. There's this curse that's afflicting the city, and it's stuck in a 3-week loop, which also explains why the city keeps resetting itself every 3 weeks. But what's really interesting is in Destiny in the past, it would have just reset every 3 weeks and everything would have been the same. But everybody in the city knows that they're stuck in this curse now. So every time it resets, there's brand new dialogue about them trying different things and not succeeding, or figuring out a way to break the curse, or stuff like that. And it seems like it's going to be 7 3-week cycles, and then something is going to happen at the end of that. So it's really neat to see them take the MMO conceit of, well, you're going to keep doing this thing and everything's going to reset and you're going to repeat this content, but there seems to be a reason, or there seems to be a goal to it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's really neat to see them do something different. And for people like me that are playing Destiny day in and day out, there's more reasons to go do this content over again, because you're getting you're not just unlocking, the in-game achievements, but you're getting all this new content week in and week out. I think that's really great. And I think for people that are still playing it like I am, that it makes it easier to go do this content over again, instead of mouthing along with the content where it's like, oh, here's where the thing happens, yeah, oh, it pops out, oh no, that sort of like the movie you've seen 200 times, and we're like, here's where the bad guy jumps out, rah, nothing like that. But so far so good. I think I hope that we have the annual pass, which is basically the big expansion came out Forsaken, and alongside it they sold an annual pass which will last. It's like 3 mini DLC pieces that'll last until middle of next year, I think it is. And the first one is going to come out winter of this year, so we're all sort of hoping that in December we'll get this brand new DLC pack, which I've definitely not run out of content to play in Destiny 2, but I'm always excited. It's like the MMO thing where it's like, all this stuff is really great, but that thing over the new stuff, I bet that stuff's really good. So I'm pretty excited for that stuff to land. But I still haven't, I as I've talked about before, my job is a stay-at-home dad, which doesn't really allow me for a lot of uninterrupted time to play Destiny. So unfortunately, I haven't done the raid yet as much as I'd really like to, because I don't have, most of the teams that are going to run through and show people, they're called Sherpas in the Destiny community, which is a really great name for them. There's a subreddit called Destiny Sherpas, and all these people do is they take a group, it's them and a group of 5 people that haven't done the raid before, and they spend a couple of hours showing everybody how to do the raid so that they can get that first experience and then go off and do, random groups or whatever.
That's cool.
It's really great because most of the time these people are running like 1 or 2 a day, and that's all they do in Destiny is they just show people how to run the raid. And I think that's really cool. But the minimum requirement they have is like 3 to 5 hours, and I don't really have that. So that's, as much as I'd love to run the raid and as much as I've watched other people run it, I haven't really had that uninterrupted time to play it yet, which is fine, but also a little frustrating because it's like this glittering thing at the end of the tunnel. It's like,
right.
Ooh, look at all this cool loot, and it's like, I want that loot. So someday, I'm hoping. I didn't run the raids in the original stuff either, or the vanilla Destiny 2, which I'd love to do at some point if people are still doing that. Fingers crossed. But that's all I've been playing. Let's do. We don't really have any news stories this month. It's kind of been a quiet RPG month, but we do have 2 releases to talk about before we wrap up here. First one is World of Final Fantasy Maxima. Comes out on PC, Switch,
right.
PS4, and Xbox One on the 6th. I know if you own the original World of Final Fantasy, I know there's an upgrade path. I think, don't quote me on this, I think it's only like $15 or $20, and that gets you all the new stuff so you don't have to buy the game over again. But this is the first time it's coming to Switch and PC, I think. The original wasn't on Switch, but I don't know if the original was on PC or not.
I think I own the game on the PS4.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think I bought it, but I played the demo on PS4 and I really liked it. So, and I think all Maxima is, for anyone that didn't play the original, is just like more characters, more worlds, more espers. Just it's not a fundamentally different game. It's not a sequel. It just has more stuff in it.
Right.
It seems pretty good. That base game seemed like a lot of fun. And last but not least, Fallout 76 comes out PC, PS4, and Xbox One on the 14th. Are you interested in this or picking this up? Torn?
So, I mean, here's the thing about Fallout 76. I'm not... Well, I don't want to say that I don't think that they should have made it, because that's incorrect. It's fine that they made it. I don't think it's what I would want, because I enjoy playing Fallout by myself. If it was like a drop-in, drop-out sort of thing,
right?
Like I could have a friend who also owns like Fallout 76.
You could play co-op,
and we could play cooperatively. Right. I think that would be fine. I would actually. I'd be more interested in that, but. When you throw it into like an MMO setting sort of thing, and
when you put the internet in it, it's sort of like,
I can already see several things that I normally don't like in Fallout happening, because I like the VAT system. I like taking my time. I play Fallout in a very specific way.
Right,
I like
a real
talking,
methodical way.
Yeah, and from what I understand, there's not going to be like the whole NPC sort of stuff, and it's just like you're taking out everything that I like though in the like also uncovering things by myself. Like there is no moment greater than when I stumble across something and I'm like I get all nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this place that I just found?
Right, what's at the bottom of this little dungeon?
But now it's just another open world MMO sort of thing, and I'm
with nuclear bombs.
Yeah, and I play enough MMOs in my time. I don't need another one, but I'm sure somebody out there would actually enjoy this and will enjoy it, and maybe it will be their favorite Fallout experience, but I'm not getting it, and it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I do know that they're doing a private server option in a couple of months. They'll be patching in that option. That's when I'll get more excited, because then...
I'm not interested in that either.
Well, to me, that gives me the option of potentially playing it with my friends, if they're still playing.
True.
But that will only... But
it's still missing the whole... Like, NPCs are like, the best parts of the Fallout universe.
I wonder how they're going to address that, because I feel like when the game comes out, and once the honeymoon is over, I wonder how they're going to address that feedback, because I feel like that's going to be a common feedback thread, which is, it's still Fallout, and I'm sure I'm having fun, and whatever, people are sort of bothering me, but the world feels sort of lifeless. I haven't seen...
It looks lifeless.
It does, yeah. And I haven't really seen, other than the private server option, I haven't really seen any development roadmaps, so I'm not sure if they'll add them later. But to me, the private server seems good, but I'm hoping that the foundation of the game is fine, so that I can say, all right, I'm finally picking up, private servers is out, everyone seems to love the game, I'm going to finally pick it up. Now I can explore with my friends. But other than that, I'm with you. It doesn't feel like what I enjoyed out of something like Fallout 3 and 4.
And I tried putting my mind into this, like, well, how would the gameplay even feel? Because what I've seen in the gameplay hasn't really impressed me. And like let me compare it to like Monster Hunter, for example, like a game that you don't need a story. I do not need a story when I play my Monster Hunter games, because the combat's the most interesting part. Taking down these big monsters with a bunch of other people, that's fun and interesting. I don't even need a story for that. But if you were to say, let me just remove remove like, the really good combat of the Monster Hunter series, and we're going to shove us like yeah, like let's say they were just like, let's remove the good gameplay of Monster Hunter and started shoving in like story and NPCs elements. I'd be like, what have you done
Right.
to my
I mean, just go
Monster
kill the
Hunter?
monsters.
I came here for the monsters.
For me, it almost seems like, of course they called it a Fallout game because they sort of want to, but it almost seems to me like if BioWare had instead of Anthem coming out as a new IP, they would have said, "Oh, it's a Mass Effect prequel," and would have been like, "Yeah, but that's not really." That franchise is already. It's like if they would make a future Dragon Age. It's like, yeah, but that's not what the franchise is. Like
not what I signed up for.
Yeah, like there are, for me with Fallout, and with modern Fallout, let's remove the 1 and 2 and Brotherhood of Steel, because the isometric series will never be coming back. I feel like the hardest part with 76 is how do you address those fundamental expectations of a Fallout game and continue to grow it into an online space. And it seems like the two of those things are fighting with each other.
Yeah, and like I said, no diss to anybody who's excited about this, because I'm sure there are people who are looking forward to this, but even with that private server option, I'm not sold on it because the things that I like the most about Fallout are not present. And
right.
Are they doing that? I saw like there's still base building stuff.
There is, yeah. Like so you can build your own base, yeah.
I mean, like don't get me wrong, the base building stuff was fine, but that's not the Fallout. That's not.
Yeah, it could be interesting if you stumble across somebody's really cool big base, but I don't know. I don't understand from the pre-release coverage what you do other than toss a nuke at them and ruin their day. Like there doesn't. I don't know. It's just not for me. But
yeah,
like I always say, I'm not going to talk yang about it too much because I still play Destiny 2, and that's widely regarded as not a great game, even though it's much better now, and free on PC until the 18th. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it. I don't think Musim was excited about picking it up either, but I'm sure one of us will pick it up at some point when it's on sale or private server options. So we'll definitely talk about it at some point.
Yeah.
But that's our episode this month. Thank you everyone for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at pickingupthepixels.com. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right hand side of the page. Mina, where can we find you online?
You can find me on YouTube or Twitch under Mina KO Rocket.
And don't forget about Mobile Mina.
Oh, that's right, YouTube. Mobile Mina.
Yeah. You can find me at e1m1.com for all my podcasts. Thank you so much, Mina, for joining me yet again.
Thank you.
And our adventure continues next month. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching live, everyone. Bye-bye.